All right, my man Cal Scruby in here. Thanks for checking in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
On
man.
Game Changers. I was just mentioning before, you're probably actually the first person that's sitting down in the seat that I've kind of been recommended by a lot of people that kind of to bring in
I'm
and
honored.
have their story kind of like told by yourself. And you know, Andrew Sadler, a good friend of yours, and then Listerman, my girlfriend, even Ben, who you've done his podcast, have all kind of told me that, you know, you as a person, and I haven't had a lot of time to actually like meet you because we've missed each other on a couple of occasions. But those people, you know, I respect, and to kind of get their blessing on like your story and really wanting to tell it meant a lot, and that's why I really like reached out and wanted to have you on here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honored because those are good people, and I mean, more than that too, they're good at what they do. So you know, to be recommended by people in the industry that I know and like and admire, like that's flattering.
And you haven't been out in LA that long, you know. I think it's like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, it's almost 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So to have, you know, that kind of class of people around you says and speaks a lot about you as a person.
Yeah.
You know, and those people are only gonna hang with good people.
Right, I'd like to think. I mean, I've seen who they surround themselves with too, you know, and it's pretty high class. So, like I said, I'm pretty honored to be in that group.
Something I like to ask everyone that sits down in here is, you know, if someone comes up to you and asks you, what do you do? Like, who are you? What do you reply? Because I feel like people get put in boxes, people get categorized in a lot of moments. So I ask you, what would you want to be?
I mean, it's different.
As?
It's different. Like, you know, if you're in a music setting, then you can really dive into what you do. But like, if it's an Uber driver, you know, you're like, yeah, man, I'm a writer or something like really general.
Yeah.
And then I try to deflect. Uber drivers like to pitch everything they do, whether they make beats or write.
Yeah. You won't have a driver. You got a producer sitting with you now.
Right. Yeah, it's different. No, I mean, I don't really like to put myself in a box. I've always been a good writer, and I like to, like, you know, I've contributed to like writing songs with friends and stuff, like, and not any significant credit, but just because I like writing. I've always been like a creative writer. So yeah, I mean, I think writer first and foremost is like what I would title myself as, or like artist, I guess. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's rap. You know, I can't act like I'm not a rapper. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, you know, a lot of artists like to be like, oh, I'm an artist. Don't put me in a box. I'm a rapper. No, I'm a rapper. Like I rap. Yeah, sometimes I sing or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna rap.
Yeah. So. Where does that come from? Because like doing my research, I like want to always like try to get a good grasp of who the person is that's sitting down, so that, you know, I can enable them to tell their story in the best way. You know, it looks like from what I've seen that, you know, you don't really have an upbringing that was very heavy music oriented, you know what I mean? But you hear what you do now, and you write so well, and their sound is like so organic to who you are. It's kind of like, well, where does that come from? You know what I mean?
You know, I think, like, I wanted to be a journalist for a long time, because growing up in Ohio, they don't really tell you that you can be a rapper or artist, dancer, any kind of entertainer. They gear you towards like lawyer, teacher, doctor, mechanic.
The sure thing. It's like, if you go to school for 5 years and do this, you will get a job and you will make $100,000, $150,000 a year.
Predictable life.
Predictable.
Yeah, like that. But I didn't have like a very musical background. I mean, my dad's kind of musically talented. Like, he just retired 2 years ago, and he's teaching himself piano and stuff. So I mean, he just keeps himself active, and I think that's pretty cool. But but no, like singers, I mean, we weren't like playing a bunch of music when I was growing up. Like when I was a kid, I mean, I was just like any other, you know, Midwest white kid listening to pop music. And I was like 8 or 9 listening to like Backstreet Boys and shit. And then
we all there.
Yeah, and
we all there.
And then I think like 9 or 10, I started listening to started really getting into rap. Yeah. Like I remember when the Godzilla movie came out, and Puff Daddy, not Diddy, Puff Daddy, had like I don't know if he just contributed a lot to the soundtrack or just had like the big title track for it. It was called "Come With Me," and I remember rocking. I went to Circuit City, doesn't exist anymore, and got the CD, like got the little single CD for like $1.99. Played the hell out of that, and then but really the first like big track that I dove into, I think, was Rough Riders Anthem. Yeah. So my buddy had just like stole a CD from his like a burnt CD CD from his older sister.
Yeah.
And we just played Rough Riders Anthem like nonstop. And then it just grew from there and became, you know, Jay-Z, even like Joe Budden. Like I got into a lot of like lyricists.
Yeah.
And then and then I mean went through phases, 3 6 Mafia, everything I like. You know, so I kind of got this wide palette of
so
rap.
so it's not that you weren't, you know, obviously at that stage you weren't kind of like creating your own music, but you were definitely digesting and ingesting heavy amounts of like music that has transformed kind of to where you are today when you were younger, you know?
Yeah, I think the transformation for me from consuming to producing was when I started listening to Wale more, which was probably like my maybe like senior year of high school, going into college. And I just heard a lot of references that I understood, that I was like, oh, like, you know, light bulb went off and I was like, oh, that's clever. And because I understood him, I felt like I could create him. You know what I mean? Like,
when I think that you speak about Wale, it's like Wale is very relatable. Like in the topics and the stuff he talks about, you see yourself. You know what I mean? And you listen to a lot of your tracks, and there's a lot of things going on that I sit and I go, oh, I get that. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same thing that you're talking about probably, but I get what you're saying in my kind of upbringing, whatever it is.
I think I'm getting a lot better at the musical side of things, but like I think I've always been good at communicating like through writing, you know? And that's why, you know, in school, I was always like my papers and stuff, I always got good grades because I've always written how I would want it to be spoken or performed. So I think when people digest it, they digest it in like a more universal language as opposed to just like how one person could possibly put it. You know what I mean? So I try to create something where a lot of different backgrounds can digest the same message.
Were you a good student at school?
Yeah, I was pretty good. I went to school for engineering at Ohio State, but my grades did not hold up in engineering. So I ended up graduating with a communications degree, which has served me no good.
I know I got a communications degree as well.
I'm gonna be honest. At this point, I don't encourage anyone to go to school and face student debt. Unless you know exactly what you want to do, and that's the route that you need to take, and you want to, and you can use that use the network through school and stuff, then I recommend it. But you don't need to go to school. And
what's the issue with that? Because I saw in an interview you did a while ago, and you were talking about that same thing about, like, you know, you went to school, and most people go to school for 4 years, and then they kind of decide they're going to chase their dream after that because they've done their 4 years for their parents or for what society is supposed to do. You know what I mean? Where's the disconnect in the system of like why we push people to go to school?
Man, I don't know. I've been talking with a friend of mine about this a lot. I just think it's odd that when we become adults and we have to worry about things like credit, that they didn't teach us anything about that in school. So then we start to develop debts, and you know, and we're paying interest for a really long time. When this is something that we could have covered when I was in 11th grade. Like we should have. You
would think so. It's like they know that you're about to go to college and you're about to put yourself in this position, but no one talks to you about it.
Even if you don't go to college, like you're gonna need credit to like get a home, get a mortgage or whatever. So why not teach? I mean, that's every single person in their mid-20s is going to face a situation when they need credit to get an apartment, to get whatever. In order to live on your own, get out of your mom's basement, you need credit. So why don't we teach stuff like that? I don't know. It's frustrating because like they'll teach you all about the periodic table. Or like I took plenty of calculus, like all the way through differential equations and stuff that I'll never see or use ever again. But I don't know. It's kind of a trap. Like, you know.
Do you feel like you were pushed by your parents to go to college, or do you think that it was more something that you wanted to do for yourself?
No, I don't feel like I was pushed by my parents. Like, I don't feel like my parents have always been very accepting of like whatever I want to do. They, you know, they let me live my own life, and I'm grateful for that. But I felt like society's pressure. I feel like everybody kind of urges you to go to school, at least in the Midwest, because that's just what you do. And I think tradition in that sense is very destructive. I think tradition is the opposite of progress, because we're like, oh, that's what you do, so that's what everybody does, so that's what we're gonna keep doing. It's like, but that's not even the best way to accomplish what we want to accomplish, so why keep doing that shit? So yeah, I mean, you know, it's easy to see that now, like on the other side looking in, but But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that down the line might be important enough to me where I actually do something to help like reconstruction as far as
be
like,
the
the school
change in
system.
the issues that you see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I see that a lot with the people that sit down in the chair here. You know, they are, a lot of them, trying to be the change that they see that is needed, and using their craft of whatever it is in order to, you know, even if it's speaking about that, you know what I mean? Even if it's doing a show like this and having people question those things, it just gives a child that's graduating high school going, well, maybe that's not what I have to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. There are other different ways around it. You got a big buzz by being in college. So, you know, you went to Ohio State, and, you know, from what I've gathered, that's kind of where it really started for you in the music side. Yeah,
well, I just had friends that, like, you know, I mean, alcohol helps people come out of their shell.
Yeah.
And I would just go to parties and get drunk, and I would have a couple friends that knew I could rap because I was just comfortable enough around them to like rap and show them stuff. And they would make me rap. I remember my one friend, Raphael, we were at a party, and he was like, I'm gonna pick 2 people out of this party and you gotta rap to them. I'm like, I'm probably 19 years old. Yeah. And I was like, man, I really don't want to do this. You know what I mean? Like come on. Like, I'm still, like, even to this day, I'm an introvert. Like, if I'm in public and I tell somebody I'm rapping, they're like, oh, you know, rap. I'm like, no, man. Like, no, I'm not doing that right here, right now. Like, this is, you know, whatever. And I did it, and the 2 people were like really impressed, and they, you know, and one of the girl rapped that I had rapped to, and so like, so then I was like, all right, cool. So I started to develop like this confidence, and then, you know, I started this buzz just with started the ball rolling like through YouTube and stuff, and I guess it led to like recognition a little bit around campus, and then I eventually like picked up this show at the Student Union opening for J.Cole, which was then like opening the floodgates to...
Wait, you went from deciding you wanted to start to rap and getting this confidence to telling me that you opened for J.Cole.
It's crazier than that. I went from my first show, like my first ever live performance on a microphone was at a tattoo parlor with my friend Alexander Dreamer. Yeah. And in front of like 15 people with like the arcade, you could hear the arcade games going off. In between songs, it was like half off tattoos during the shit. And there's people in the back getting tattoos. You can like hear the buzzing and stuff in between songs. And then like a week later, the student activities board called me and they're like, hey, Crit and Cole are coming to town. Crit can't do the show. He's dropping off the show. Oh, crazy. So, like, can you hop up and do it? I'm like, this was on a Sunday or something, and the show's on a Monday. I'm like, yeah, I guess. I'll figure. You know, I probably got, like, 7 total songs.
That's what I was going to say. What's your catalog like at this time to come out before J. Cole?
And most of them being, like, not covers, but, like, most of them being other, like, industry beats, you know? Like mixtape shit from back then. Yeah. So... First, you know, going from a tattoo parlor to like $100,000 setup, you know, like
professional shit.
Yeah, real big shit. So it was pretty crazy. I remember the first song I walked out there, and you know, I'm kind of just like, this crowd is way bigger than 10, 15
people in a tattoo parlor,
right? And I like kind of worked my way up to the front of the stage, in between like 2 of the monitors, and this big girl in the front row was like, you ain't Crit.
She'll tell you real quick.
Right, so that's like
humble you real quick.
Yeah, that's a good family joke. Yeah, inside joke from now on that runs around is you ain't Crit.
How'd that feel though? You know, because like in the industry of like engineering, it's not really a career that you're gonna be getting recognized. You know what I mean? It's like one of those jobs that you just go and do, and you make your money. No one goes like, oh my god, that's the famous engineer.
You don't want to be recognized for engineering, because usually in engineering it's something where you did something wrong.
Something has fallen down, and then they blame the engineer. Yeah. So you start to do this to start to actually rap, and you start to gain that confidence, and you're getting recognition from your peers. How's that feeling for you, coming from the, like I said, the background of really being like study math engineering side?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, especially because, you know, I played basketball growing up. All I really cared about was basketball. You could probably kind of tell when you listen to the raps, but like, but other than that, there was no performance in my life. Like, there was no stage. I mean, I remember, you know, I was I played a part in one of the plays when I was in elementary school, but that's not the same shit. So it's different, like to be in the spotlight, and it's something that even today is not my favorite thing to do. I kind of get social anxiety. I like being on stage better than I like being in a big crowd of people. But yeah, the recognition part is rewarding because it feels like you're doing something right. But at the same time, you also become like a target online. And as much as you'd like to think that, you know, people who are artists and shit can just shrug that shit off, and some of us can, and some of us do, and I definitely do most of the time. But sometimes you're kind of like, man, why are you being so mean?
Well, I think it takes time. You know what I mean? I think that's a huge skill that people possess is getting to a place where you can. Like, I don't think anyone starts like that. Like, I don't think you can just off the bat be like, oh my god, I got 10 people telling me I'm trash and that I should just give up. Like, no one just goes like, oh yes, fuck these people. You know,
skill is definitely right. Like, it's an acquired skill. I would say not giving a fuck is an acquired skill. It's something that you have to like get better at. I don't think anybody's like born with thick skin. And I think if you are, like, I think if that doesn't bother you at all, even at the like beginning, whatever, I think you're an egomaniac. So it's like you already have an unhealthy perspective. You know, like,
well, it's good. I think it's good. I think it's good for people to hear these things about artists and about, you know, the people that they look up to, because, you know, social media and YouTube and all this stuff, it paints this picture that is not an accurate portrayal of who a person is. You know what I mean? Like, if you looked at your Instagram and you see, you know, you're rapping in the back of a car, you're out here, you're doing things with Chris Brown, you're, you know, doing all these things, you wouldn't understand that you kind of like, gets rid of the humanization of a person.
There's a lot of normal life shit that isn't portrayed online on everybody's account. And I try to remind my followers of that a lot, because, like, you know, I'm somebody who suffers from anxiety and depression, like a lot of people and a lot of this younger generation. And I have to remind myself, and so every time I remind myself of this shit, I try to remind other people of it, because I'm like, I'm probably not the only one going through this. That online is just, it's all strategic self-presentation. So if you're sad, you're probably not going to tell everybody online that you're sad and having a shitty day with a picture, you know what I mean? On Instagram, everybody's smiling and like eating good food and in cool places, and it looks like everybody's having the best fucking time except for you. You're like, damn, I'm sad, and all my friends are having a good time. Like, why am I the only sad one? So, you know, I gotta remind people that everybody goes through that shit. It's not, you know, there's a lot of, like, I went to the beach yesterday with my friends, and there's nothing on Instagram for that. You know, it's just like sometimes I just gotta go be normal. We all just should be normal and not try to portray, you know, some kind of life as if it's more special than
how does that feel else? That, you know, you have this platform that you've grown over time that allows you to have an impact on other people's lives. You know what I mean? Like, there are kids out there, and you know, we've seen it on the scale of, you know, we talk about Wale, you talk about Kid Cudi, you talk about Logic, all these people that they've had this influence on people. You know, you're stepping into that realm, and you have that, I don't want to say it's a burden or a chore, but like, what you say can impact people's lives. A responsibility. Yeah, exactly.
I think sometimes I forget that, because sometimes, like, the end of the month is coming and I'm like, oh, I gotta pay my bills. Like, me and my friend Steven always talk about your why, like why you do shit, and how that has to be the most important thing, the most consistent thing. And I think, you know, for me, my why for a while was like fluctuating. It was kind of like at the end of the month, I'd be like, shit, I got to get money. So it's like now everything I was doing in my work was like about getting money. And so I think when you do that a lot, you can lose sight of how powerful, you know, your impact can be. And so it was kind of driving me into this, like, for more anxiety, more depression. And then I there's a song that I haven't dropped yet, but I dropped kind of like the verse, like a verse of it on it was on a Lil Xan beat, and I put it on Twitter, and like it got really, really good engagement and interaction as far as people like messaging me and saying, hey, this is exactly how I feel. And I didn't do it to be relatable. I did it as my own outlet, because I was fucking sad, and I was just like, and it was almost pathetic for me too. Like, I felt like I was like, man, I feel like I shouldn't release this because it's like too personal.
Yeah.
And then I had and there's a line in it at the end where it was like I'd be okay with dying if I'm not the one that did it. And there's a bunch of people that were like even my own brother hit me up, and he was like, my brother was like, that's like, I feel you, like I feel that way. And I didn't know, like me and my brother are really tight, but we've never had a conversation where it's like, man, I've been through times where like I'd be all right with dying if I wasn't the one who had to do it. Yeah. And that's crazy that it can even bring my brother and I closer. But like I've had so many fans since that moment that I probably dropped that little thing like 2 months ago. I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I've had a mom reach out to me and say, my daughter committed suicide. She was a big fan of yours. And it's like, so I think sometimes when my why is money, and I lose sight of that shit, but then I end up in that depressed mode and I drop that. It reminds me that people don't count on me or depend on me, but like I can help, and so that reminds me of like what my why should be. Well,
I think it's a huge growth moment in your career and your personality to get to a place where you understand that your honesty is really the thing that people connect with. You know what I mean? There's so much music being put out on a daily basis about partying, about drugs, about fucking chicks, about all these different things. And that stuff goes so fast. You know what I mean? Quick, but the honest music and being you is
vulnerable and human,
is what people are going to engage with and connect with. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned before, my girlfriend's a big fan of yours and her friends as well, and I hadn't really dove deep into your music until recently, when I knew we were going to do this, and I was like, all right, I want to really try to get a grasp of who you are. And that's what I started to see in especially a lot of your newer stuff. And I think when I spoke to my girlfriend, she said that. She said he's very relatable and I can connect with him. You know what I mean? It's not, oh my God, I want to party right now. It's like, no, I want to listen to this music and really connect with your thoughts.
Yeah, and I think I try to make fun music sometimes, but like if I'm not happy and having a good time, then it's not gonna be a genuine song, and people can sense that. So there's no point in trying to make fun songs. It's kind of like making a love song if you're not in love. It's like people will just tell. They're like, oh, this is just words. Like, you're just saying shit.
It's like when you have a 13-year-old come out and all of a sudden they're talking about being in love and like they can't live without this person. You're like, you have
no idea
what this is. We can't connect with your song because we don't believe you.
And then there's other times, there's a working with riveting and stuff. Mike Ho was telling me about a video he was shooting one time with a pretty big artist, and he wanted more from her from like one of the takes. And so she channeled, like she had just had a breakup where her man had cheated on her and stuff, and she channeled that, and then she did her whole take, like, and then real tears ran off set. But it's like, that's the money take, right? So like I've like, I can hear stuff. Sometimes I'll record something, I'll mess up a little something, but I'm like, no, the imperfection in this is like the emotion is there. So it doesn't matter like if I miss a note or whatever, or I'm off time or whatever, it's like, no, but the feeling is there because like I know it because I channeled it when I was doing it. So I think people can sense when shit is not real, and I think I've gotten a lot better at being more genuine instead of like giving people what they want to hear. Because everybody's gonna want to hear something different, and so you literally can't please everybody. So
no chance.
So the only thing that I really aim to do now is like make sure that shit is genuine to me, is authentic to me, and honest, and when
I think
they like it.
And I definitely feel that that's what you're doing, and you feel that through your music. You were in college and you have this management with Riveting Entertainment, which is another way we kind of like interlocked a little bit through Riveting Entertainment. They kind of found you while you were still in Ohio, correct? How's that work? Because you connect with them and then you end up coming out to LA.
Andrew, who owns Riveting, he's from Cincinnati.
Okay.
He was in town when I had a big show. Like a big public show in Cincinnati. They did this thing. Self Diploma is this promotional group that did like this outdoor kind of weekend festival like throughout the year, and so they just throw these free concerts. And I was one of the weekends I was headlining it, and this is probably 2013 maybe. I guess 2014, and it was a pretty big crowd. I don't know, maybe like 1,500 people or something. And I ended up meeting Andrew later that evening. He didn't even go to the show. I just met him at a friend's bar.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm Andrew. I own Riveting Entertainment," which I had heard of before, just because they shoot like massive music videos.
Yeah, exactly.
Familiar. And so he was like, "Oh, I'll put your number in my or not contacts, in my notes." So
okay.
I was like, this guy's not gonna call me. Like, right. That's like what you would say if you didn't want somebody, you didn't want to exchange numbers. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, because
as soon as you put the number in the phone, then like, oh, just call me so I have yours.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But if it's in the notes, it's like, all right, he don't want me to have his number.
Yeah.
So but I got a call because we have some mutual friends, and I got a call like probably 2 or 3 days later that was like, yo, we should work together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
from
listened to
Andrew
stuff. Yeah. Well, not directly from a friend, and then we connected.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that we should work with him, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So flew out to LA a couple weeks later, and just kind of like ran around to different shoots and kind of checked stuff out and talked about different things. And then I think a couple weeks after that, signed a management contract and flew out here and started doing it.
Yeah.
So.
How's that deal work? Because there's a lot of young people out there that reach out to me on the daily asking for like, hey, I want to get management, or I want to get a label gig and get signed and all this. I feel like you have like almost like a great mix, because I feel like you have a management team that are in production as well, but yet you don't have a label deal, correct?
No label deal.
So how's that work for you?
I like it. I like feeling like I have all my creative control. That's really important to me. Like, I think that should be the most important thing as the artist. It's like, can I drop a song whenever I want to drop it? Can I talk about whatever I want to talk about?
Yeah.
Like when I started really opening up, it's not like they were like, let's not go down this depression route because we want your music to be more fun and poppy. They don't have they have like they help me create the vision.
They have recommendations, but they don't have the final say.
Yeah, they don't, like, if I'm going in one direction, then they'll help nudge me like in that direction, keep me in that direction, but they won't try to spin me around and have me go the other way with it.
Yeah.
Which I think is that's a healthy relationship. I think if you have yes men, then no one's nudging you anywhere. And then if you have, sometimes in a label situation, they might, like I said, spin you around.
Yeah.
And you just really don't want that, because I think at the end of the day, that's what leads to a little bit of depression. Is
real shit.
It's just having somebody try to tell you to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
And then it shows in the music. Yeah. It shows in the art, and I don't think you ever really get anywhere with it.
Someone who's been very vocal about that exact topic about having creative control is Russ. Like, he speaks a lot about if you don't have creative control, you've lost everything. And something that like, he has been very controversial, and lots of people have their different opinions on what he does and how he's done it. I respect him in the manner of the fact that he's come out and he said, like, you can do this without a record deal. You know what I mean? You can do this by owning your own music, because you're not going to, there's these percentages that aren't going to get taken out. So you may not be making maybe as much, but you have creative control. Like you said, you actually dropped a song on SoundCloud called Russ. Over Russ beat. You know what I mean? And like I said before, that was something that I listened to and I felt very honest from you. How do you feel about, like, Russ has come out and he speaks, and he has been said to be too arrogant and too full of himself. Okay.
I like Russ a lot.
How do you feel about him?
I've always liked, I heard Russ, like, I started following Russ probably like 3 years ago. It was right when he dropped that Losing Control, which was like his first big song.
Yeah.
He probably had like, I don't know, 15,000 followers on some shit, like, pretty low key, and just watched him pick it up and drop consistently, good quality. People were mad about him being arrogant, but it isn't all rap like braggadocious. There's so much arrogance in rap, but the one guy who is writing recording, mixing, mastering all his own stuff. I mean, there's a couple guys that do some of that, but like that's a lot. Those are all different talents.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's impressive. So if the guy wants to brag about that stuff and you have an issue with that, then I think you're just being selective, like in who you want to be mad at. You might hate him because the internet hates him. If you don't like him for another reason, I mean, there's people that have issues with how he's outspoken about, or at least how he speaks on some issues as far as like drug addiction and stuff, calling people like losers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think drug addiction is an illness. Like drug addiction is a problem that we as a society, like my hometown, there's a heroin epidemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I've lost friends, I've seen friends go through it. So I think it's a real problem, and I don't want to call those people losers, because those are my friends and family.
Yeah.
But I also don't take offense to that, because at the end of the day, I think the guy's just trying to steer his fans in the right direction. I mean, I don't think he means any harm by it.
Yeah. Which is what I really respect about him. He did call out a lot of the rappers that talk about drugs and that not necessarily talk about them, but glorify them. You know what I mean? And yeah, like people have a responsibility, and if they choose to use that responsibility wisely, that's their decision.
Yeah, I think that glorifying drugs is an interesting term, because like if I'm addicted to drugs and I rap about drugs and I rap about my life, then I don't think I'm necessarily glorifying drugs. Just like if I rap about how I have issues with depression or suicide, it doesn't mean I'm glorifying suicide.
Yeah.
I think you're just talking about your issues. So I think it's a double standard there. Like we can't look at like a Logic song and say, oh, it's suicide awareness.
Yeah.
And then look at a Future song and say, oh, it's drug addiction, glorifying drugs. It's like, no, that's drug awareness.
Yeah.
If we're looking at it through the same scope, if that's suicide awareness, that's drug awareness.
But I understand your point on that. If you're putting in music videos, you drinking lean and taking Xanax and all these things, and that people imitate you, and young kids want to get to where you are because you are making money, you are in the media. Are you not directing them in that lifestyle?
Well, we talked about like earlier, there's responsibility. My aunt asked me this question one time when she was in town, and she was talking to me about like sometimes my subject matter, and I feel a responsibility to be genuine and honest. I don't think that I should be. I think art is to be interpreted by the listener, and obviously I want them to be as close to my interpretation of my own art as I can. So like I want them to hear it and get my message across. But if they don't, then that's not up to me. Some people just aren't going to take it the way that I want them to.
Of course.
So I think that like even though we as artists have that responsibility, I think the listener has a responsibility to take whatever we're saying or doing and kind of look at it through a certain scale or through a certain scope. It's like, not everybody's going to get it, and it might become an issue of altruism where it's like, 5 kids might not kill themselves because they heard my shit, and one kid might kill himself because he heard my shit. And it's like, I can't be responsible for the 5 kids saving, like for the 5 kids not killing themselves, and I can't be responsible for the one kid. Like everybody's living their own life, and I understand kids are very impressionable, but at the same time, I feel like as an artist you have to just continue to be genuine to yourself, and like sometimes that might be harmful to other people just because of the way they digest it, but you just have to like be portraying yourself in the most authentic way. If drugs are destructive in your life and it shows in your music and you can hear it and whatever, see it, then
you would be unauthentic not to put them in your craft.
Right. I mean, to act like that's something you're not going through, you're missing a huge part of who you are. It's unfortunate, but I think that the youth have to figure out a way to understand that these are adult subject matters. there's a time and a place
Yeah.
for a lot of that stuff.
We're talking about controversial issues. Someone that, I've met a lot of times and has been an amazing, person to me and the team and everything is Chris Brown. You've worked closely with him. You've put out two songs with him, music videos. How's that been for you? Because Chris Brown is probably someone that just like I grew up watching his music videos and his music and dancing to. You would have done exactly the same thing.
Absolute legend.
Yeah.
I mean, like in every sense of it. I remember the first night, the first time I met Chris, I was at Record Plant, and that was just a wild night because it was like in one studio it was like Chris and Tyga, Drake came through. At the time, like I think like Karuchi was in there, and I'm just
three of the biggest stars.
Yeah, and I'm just like this little white kid, who has never. I don't even have any songs on Spotify at the moment.
Yeah,
and I'm just sitting in the corner, like not a dollar to my name. And I'm just like fuck, like like I don't think I should even talk to anybody. I'll just sit here and watch. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the more like I've been around Chris on a lot of shoots, like a lot of video shoots and shit. The guy works ridiculously hard doing like they'll do a dance setup. I don't know what it's called. I'm not a dancer. But they'll do it and it's like a 30 to 45 second choreography thing, and he'll do it, and they'll do it like 4 or 5 times, and everybody on set is hyped. 4th or 5th time, everybody's hyped, cheering like, yeah, that one was crazy, that's the one. And he'll come over huffing and puffing, watch it back. He's like, all right, at least one more. And he'll go back out there and do it. This was like the time I'm thinking of was out in the desert when they were shooting New Flame with Usher and Rick Ross. Yeah. And he's like, all right, another one. And, he's like, everybody's dripping, sweating. So the guy just goes in and goes crazy. Like, I've never seen anybody with the energy that Chris has, Like, he's just an artist in the truest sense. Yeah. How
did that, I know Riveting has, a long background with Chris Brown and shooting his music videos. How do you feel your first time, working with Chris Brown? Making a song with him and then getting to shoot a music video with him, and knowing that the level that he expects.
Yeah, I mean, undeserving is how I felt. I think it's very gracious of a lot of different people for me to be able to get into that spot. It takes grace from a lot of people. Like, you know what I mean? Just, I think that like, as far as talent goes and whatever, like that's not for me to speak on like how talented I am. I know how talented Chris is. So for me to work with Chris on a song and video and whatever, like any of that to me is like, that's an honor to me and a huge compliment to where I'm at in my career. Like I said, I try not to tell myself how good I am or where I am. But yeah, to work with a guy like that, it obviously makes you feel good about where you're at. Like makes you feel good about what you've been doing. So definitely like a stepping stone, definitely like a motivational push. Yeah. It was one of the first times in my career where I felt like I could have a career. Yeah. I think like coming out of college and stuff, I was like, oh, I guess I'll try this. And that was kind of a push that was like, hey, you're pretty good at this. Yeah. You can do this.
Well, because especially, being part of the, it's your song, but, Ancient Change, the music video shot, I think it's Venice Beach, correct, down at the basketball courts down there. Yeah. Like the quality of working with Riveting Entertainment and the level that they do everything at, that's got to be, a moment.
Yeah. Intimidating at first, having people on set. And it's kind of funny, too, just because, somebody will, like, run up to you and try and give you a water. And I'm like, man, I can go get my own water. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm, like, I remember early on, I was always trying to, like, help people move shit from like one set to another. Yeah. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Like literally, you're not allowed to do that. We got the union or whatever, grip and gaff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's just weird because I'm like kind of like a blue collar kid, like country. Yeah. Like literally mucking stalls, like scooping up horse shit in stalls and like, normal ass shit. So I think that it's like a big production like that feels very Hollywood to me. And I still, to be honest, I still don't prefer it. Like I still, me and my friend Turtle, we went and shot a music video like month ago in Koreatown.
Yeah.
And we just went at night and just shot it.
Yeah.
Like just ran around and shot it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I feel like I like the guerrilla style of shooting where it's just like run and gun.
When you see that, I think also in your social media, you know what I mean? I always see you doing different things, like you're changing it up, and you get such great interaction from your fans and from viewers. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people have. And I wanted to find out where that comes from on your behalf.
Yeah, I feel like in social media, I see a lot of people start to do what I do, you know?
Yeah. No. Real shit, though. Real shit. Like, say it as it is, because people see it and they go, damn, this is working. I'm going to go do it. And you've been the first to do a lot of those things.
I think the backseat raps, like and that started just pretty organically, just with like riding around with friends and we put on beats and we're just rapping and shit, you know, like that's what we do. And then it kind of became more like, okay, I can kind of make this into like a mixtape kind of thing. But then I saw so many people doing that. So then I was like, all right, I like this. Like now I'm doing this little VHS filter thing. And now I'm seeing people doing the VHS filter. And not that I started that. I've seen a lot of people do that. I think Gabe of Uzi was one of the first. He's actually from Cincinnati too, which is funny. But he directed like some Kanye videos and stuff. I know Gabe was like he pushed that in the ASAP video. Rocky and Ferg did Shaba.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And he like really started to push that in hip hop. Yeah. But so I don't want to take credit for that. Yeah. But I'm saying as far as like Instagram and my lane and demographic goes, I've seen a lot of people start to do the VHS style stuff. So I don't know. Like I think, you know, by the time I see other people doing it, I'm past it. Yeah. So like I think it just, you know, I keep finding I just want to find different ways to rap. I want people to watch me rap. I want my Instagram to be a lot of raps. Yeah. I don't really like posting up and being like, oh, let me take a picture here. Like, oh, this guy, I'm with this artist, or I'm at this record label or whatever. It's like, no, I want people to come to my Instagram, listen, and watch me rap. Like, that's what I do. That's what I do best. I'm not like a model. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like.
When I heard you say that on something, I think it might have been Ben's podcast, actually. You know, like that the fact that when you first came out here, that's kind of like the aura they were trying to put around you. You know, like this pretty boy, like rapper Justin Bieber,
right?
And you said that wasn't you.
It wasn't, yeah. And I think, like, I mean, even on the first couple video shoots and stuff, you know, they're powder, like, making me all cute. And I'm like, man, I'm not that cute. Like, like I don't know. You know, there's a lot of attractive people in LA, and I don't think I fit in with those guys. So I was like, let me just be good at rapping. Like, I think that should be my priority, and the reason that I want people to gravitate towards me is because I'm good at rapping. I don't want people to be like, oh, he's cute and he makes kind of cool art, because it's like, no, I want people to like the art. I want people to buy into the art. Not just like, oh, he's cool to look at, or he takes cool pictures or whatever. No, I'm like, let's stick to the music, because that's how we got here.
Exactly.
So let's not pivot now for no reason.
Yeah, you know, talking about, you know, the reason you rap and also, you know, like how good you are at it. The first kind of the opportunity I really had to see you was you came up and did the LA Leakers freestyle. I think you were number 21 in the series, you know, at like 50 something now, and they've had some huge moments, you know what I mean? And a lot of people would reach out to me and be like, either, you know, who is this guy Cal, or yo, about time you had him up there. Did you see any impact from doing that one?
It's social media is weird, like in the growth and stuff. Like, I don't want to measure my success based on growth. You know, I think engagement from my fans makes me feel like I'm working, you know, like I'm putting in work. But I think that, like, you know, I want to do those shows because, like, that's when you get to showcase what you got. And then a lot of people like to talk shit on stuff like that, like on the YouTube page or or like when they LA Leakers posted, or if Power posted or whatever, people love to talk shit. Yeah. But that's what the internet is. It's a bunch of trolls. So like, I want to get it out to the trolls. Yeah. Because like, if it's worth them commenting on, then it's making people feel something. You know what I mean? So I'm trying, like, that's how I really try to get myself out there. I know that, like, you know, it always helps when people post my stuff, but especially like LA Leakers. I mean, Sway's never had me on.
Sway?
Yeah.
Sway? We talking to you.
Why, Sway?
Yeah.
But, how? But, no, I mean, I don't take any offense to that, but I just feel like those are opportunities that, like, I've kind of prepared for, you know? And I knew, like, going into the LA Lakers thing, I knew that was one opportunity to kind of, it's like a public exhibition.
Yeah.
It's like people, because my Instagram is, even though it's public, it's like kind of private. It's like people will come to my Instagram.
It's the people that know who you are already.
Yeah.
Mainly. But on a platform like that, the same as, you know, shout out to Flex on the East Coast, those are where people will hear your bars for the first time and then go, wow, who is this guy? We need to either work with him or we need to follow this guy. You know what I mean? And
I think, you know, then you stack up against other people that they've had on there. And it's just validation, you know, like as much as like blogs and no offense, but the radio are kind of like behind in some sense today because of like
Spotify and Pandora
and SoundCloud and whatever.
iTunes, all that.
And as much as like sometimes they play catch up, it's important for validation. It's just like, you know, being played on the radio won't break you as an artist necessarily. Like it doesn't guarantee you success as an artist, but again, it's a benchmark that like feels like you've been verified to an extent. Yeah,
it's funny you say that because we run into that conversation a lot with artists that are just being played, you know, and also, you know, shout out to Just Incredible and Sour Milk. You know, they have the New at Night and Felly Fell in the Day, the New at 2. You know, there are a lot of artists out there that will somewhat hate on radio, but then once they get their song on radio, they will be like, okay, now I understand the importance of what it can play.
And to be honest, that's kind of me. But I like, you know, I say, and especially like I think I went through, it was more of a phase. So like, and I still like, you know, I love like those guys, great guys, met them all, super nice guys and super influential. Like like, you know, they're gatekeepers in the music industry. But I think I went through my phase where like, you know, I thought that a lot of stuff that they were throwing on the radio wasn't really like content. It wasn't really rich content. It was just kind of like, you know, songs that were going to be there and be gone in a month. Yeah. And so I like, you know, I still to an extent have an issue with the radio or with Spotify playlists even, because a lot of people just latch on to what is popular or who is popular.
Well, and these days the playlists are so heavily curated that there's a lot of politics that go into curation of playlists.
The Wild West of Spotify right now. So the artist is usually like the last one to
profit off of it.
Yeah, to reap any benefits. But I mean, you know, independent artists, I think is like still a thing that's emerging. I think it's still very hard. I think Chance showed everybody that he could do it, but you know, even Chance, I don't know if a lot of people don't know, but like Chance had backing. Yeah, you know, he had like some financial support and stuff. So, but I think like at least streaming is allowing independent artists to stay afloat without record labels, which I think is important, because making a career or prolonging your career as an independent artist is what gives you the opportunity to at some point break into that the stardom, like the superstardom. Yeah. Because you know, if I only have my one shot versus 5 years of anything I put out could possibly like make shit shake. Then I'd rather have those 5 years.
Of course. So you know, I saw that you're working on a project, Ohio. Yeah. Producers and artists. Yeah. Talk to me about that, because I haven't seen too much out there. I just kind of like heard a little sprinkle of it.
Yeah. It's been in the making for a couple months, and it's cool to me because it allows me to reach out to other artists in the States that I admire or that I'm inspired by. And it's like it's kind of been the beginning of me putting down that barrier where we're not allowed to work with other people because like there's like, you know, it's cliquey, and like you see Atlanta and Chicago and LA and New York, and like a lot of those artists from those areas work together and help each other up, especially Atlanta. You see
of
Atlanta all
course,
the time. Or Houston, like Travis had Dom Tolliver or whatever his name is on the project recently, and like we don't see a lot of that in
Ohio.
Cincinnati or
because you see it in LA. You know what I mean? LA is very. You know, they have their crews where it's all LA, you know, producers and rappers.
Yeah, like Jag and AD and YG and like Ty Dolla $ign, and like and they're all very inclusive. And I think that like my goal with this Ohio project is to bring to treat Ohio like a city. You know, like because Cleveland and Cincinnati and Columbus, all and Dayton too, all have a lot of talent. Like there's so much talent in there individually, but I think that like we could, you know, there's only 300,000 people in Cincinnati, there's 600,000 in Columbus, I don't even know in Cleveland, but like that's combined, we're still smaller than all the cities I just mentioned, you know. So
MGK from Ohio?
From Cleveland.
Yeah. Okay.
MGK, Kid Cudi, obviously Bone Thugs, Chip the Rip.
Yeah.
You know, like we have substantial artists, especially from Cleveland. Cleveland's like been on the map. But Columbus and Cincinnati hasn't had a real breakthrough rap artist since like High Tech. Yeah. You know. And,
damn, that's crazy to think, really.
So I mean, but we have so many artists who are really talented, but you know, the game is social media these days and stuff. And so like, not only do you have to be good at art, you have to be good at social media marketing these days. So sometimes like people just don't have the whole package. And I think if we help each other, like if we kind of shine a little bit of light on each other, then we can really lift everybody up. And so I'm trying to get like all producers, I'm trying to get all engineering. That's the one thing that I might not be able to get because I'm so particular about mixing. Yeah. So I might not be able to get the mix from all Ohio engineers, but production and artists, graphic design, videos, photography, all Ohio people.
That's dope that you're understanding that there's an importance in supporting where you're from, because it's so easy to come out here to LA and you forget about where you're from, you know, the roots and helping out others. That most people don't do that.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like, it's not like it's not like a charity thing. It's not like, oh, I want to reach back and just help out my state just cause. It's like, no, I think these guys are good. Dope. You know, like Rip Flames out of Cleveland is one of my favorite artists. You know what I mean? Jero out of Columbus. Alexander Dreamer, and like there's countless guys. My guy Tron making beats, and Corbett and Lantana, and like there's just literally all over the state. There's so much talent and so many people I admire that I'm like, man, we should just bring this all together. And the problem is I want to be so inclusive because I like so many of these guys. Yeah. And that's the hard part. Is like, I know I'm probably gonna hurt some people's feelings at the end of the day.
This is just project one, though. Yeah, you know what I mean? There could be more to come.
There could be part two. There could be part two. But yeah, I mean, I'm at the end of the day, you know, the idea is to be inclusive. And like I said, it's not like a favor. I mean, these guys are all really talented and deserve that shine. So I think, you know, if I can help get us all in the light, then I should do that. Something
I hear a lot, and you know, I went back and looked at a few interviews and conversations that you've had with different people, is, you know, being white and rapping, you often get, you know, coined the term as white rapper. You know what I mean? And
Sandler always calls me white.
He
rapper.
does?
Always. Every time he introduces, this is my friend Cal, he's a white rapper. Sandler, you gotta stop that.
You know what I mean? And it's I would never say it because I don't want to judge or put people in any type of pocket, but you probably do get judged on the fact that you are white and you rap.
I get compared to, like, I mean, I've been compared to every single white rapper. I mean, I have I'll drop something where I rap faster than G-Eazy's ever rapped, and people say I sound like G-Eazy. Yeah. And then I'll sing on some shit and they'll say I sound like Mac Miller. And then I'll, you know what I mean? Like MGK or Eminem. Yeah. Or even like, you know, Logic, even though Logic's not technically like a white male, but yeah, I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean, that happens in every aspect of life to all other races too. Yeah. So like I'm not gonna sit here and complain like it's a unique problem for me. It's like, no, a lot of people go through that. Yeah. and it's kind of trivial. It's like not really that significant. I just think that white rapper, that kind of puts you in a box because white rap is a subgenre of rap. It's like a kind of corny flow, kind of, you know, like it's like I don't really know how to describe it. There's less like bounce to it. Maybe fratty, I guess. Fratty might be the term.
College rap.
Yeah. So I don't like. I think at some point my music was kind of there because when I was starting out, I think some of my music was corny.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the shit that I was making 6 years ago, 5 years ago was like just fire all the time. No, it's like some of that shit wasn't good. So I would like to not get put into a box based on how I look, but that happens to a lot of people in the world, and usually in a way worse situation than calling me a white
rapper. Yeah, it could be a lot worse than that.
Could be a lot worse.
So what's coming up from you besides this Ohio project that you're working on? You know, and I feel like you're kind of on that up right now, and like I said, with your rap and with how I think authentic and like true it is to you, I feel like this is like almost like this is your time.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like you know, I never wanna like look ahead even like a week, because I've had so many times when at first I had a lot of times when I felt like it was my time. Yeah. And it wasn't. And then and since then I've had a lot of times where other people tell me it's my time. Like I dropped a song a couple months ago and talking to this guy, he's like, man, this is the one. It's like, man, I've had so many people tell me it's the one.
This is the one, yeah.
That it's like that doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm never look at it like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, to me, like I'm trying to create a catalog that feels right to me. I haven't done a lot of shows this year. I've been trying to really recreate my set because I don't want to do the old music or the stuff that I don't feel like really like is me anymore. Yeah. There's old songs that people want to hear at live shows that I don't feel like I'm that person anymore. So if I do that in a live performance, then it's kind of uncomfortable for me.
Well, and you got to be very careful that, you know, like at the level where you're at now, some people are hearing you for the first time. You know what I mean? So you doing your old stuff can be a first impression for one person. Yeah, I got to be particular about it. And, you know, if you get on my Spotify, like I dropped an EP last year that isn't long enough to be considered like an album on Spotify, so it's like my 2015 project is the only album on Spotify. That Long Story Short? Yeah, Long Story Short was the last year. But the one before that was House in the Hills. Yeah, and that's the one with like the Chris feature and stuff like that. And it sucks to me because I'm like, damn, I hope people don't look at those first 5 and then go straight to that because that's old. That's old me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and as much as like, you know, that stuff's cool, but like that's like a journalist looking at a report that they did in high school. Yeah. And being like, oh yeah, and like still having that on the fridge. Like, no, you took that shit off a long time. Well, a lot of artists do that. A lot of artists will wipe their SoundCloud and take things off of it because of that exact reason. You know, they get to a level where they say, okay, this is now professional level. Right. And that's I believe in that. I think that's fine. You know what I mean? It's your artwork. You do with it what you want. And I guess like, you know, at some point that might be something I want to do if I feel like it's like 100% different than who I am at the moment. But at the same time, I do believe in being transparent and showing progression. And you know, if people choose to write me off because they listen to old music, which is still like I still think it's good. It's just not really who I am anymore. Like you know, some like there's a lot of party records and stuff that just aren't really me and what I do as much anymore. But yeah, I mean, you know, I want people to make their own decision on me. If they don't want to listen to me, I'm not going to try to sit there and convince them. Well, and just like this is a snapshot of your story, your music is a snapshot of your story as well, you know, and people that either come onto your music now are going to be able to go back and listen to it and be like, wow, this is where he's come from. Yeah, it's a chapter. It's a chapter in my life. Exactly. So, I mean, I got, I've been building like quite a diverse catalog, and over the last year, I've done a lot more recording on my own, and so I've been able to experiment with sounds, and I'm
I think autotune is the greatest
Yeah.
human invention of all time.
It allows people that want to sing the ability to sing and to learn and harmonize and do those things, because otherwise, like, most of us sound terrible at singing.
Yeah, and so, like, think about all the voices. This is a real honest conversation about autotune being one of the greatest inventions of all time. In order to be heard before, you had to, as a singer, you either had to have a magical voice, or you had to be a songwriter and get in with somebody who had a magical voice in order to be. But now anybody can sing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you still got to hit those notes, but I'm saying, like, anybody with a story, anybody who's a good songwriter can create like a really influential, positive impact or whatever with their song. Excuse me. And I think that's like, that's why I really do think autotune is like one of the greatest inventions of the modern era.
Yeah.
Think about all the artists today that are making like super emotional, impactful songs. I mean, you've seen all the people that were really upset when X died.
Yeah.
And that's one of those guys that like, man, without autotune, he probably wouldn't have been who he is.
Well, and that's the thing. The majority of the public think of autotune and they only think of T.I. and they think of this like super heavy autotune that you can tell is like
that robotic,
you know what I mean? But they don't understand that almost every artist that they listen to is autotune.
One time I did an autotune song and one of my fans was like, man, I don't do that autotune shit. And I clicked on his page and he had a bunch of pictures from the Weeknd show. And I'm like, bro, you're a big Weeknd fan. He's like, yeah, I don't like that song where you used autotune. I'm like, that song?
The album?
That song? Like, what do you
his
mean?
career?
What song?
Yeah.
Like, and these guys can still sing. I mean, T-Pain can really sing.
Yeah.
Really sing. But it's just a sound. Like, it's just, it's a preference.
Yeah.
So, cool. Whatever. I just had to go on that tangent because I love autotune so much. And I feel like a lot of people from a lyricist, they expect from a lyricist, which I guess I'll consider myself a lyricist, they want rapping lyrics fast, rap fast. It's like, no, man, like, let people sing songs. Sometimes you can say more in a melody with less words. Yeah. And you can just convey emotion.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what would you tell, like Cal Scruby back in Ohio, Buckeye, 21, kind of like really just like deciding, okay, this is going to be like, I'm actually maybe going to try to do this music. What would you tell him now that being out here in LA and being full front in the music industry?
That nothing matters. It doesn't, like, man, you get so caught up as a kid on like what you're gonna do and how you're gonna plan and everything, and same thing with like money. Everybody pounds it into your head that you gotta save and be financially secure and stuff. It's like, no, you just gotta go figure it out. And to an extent, that's what I did. Like, moving out here, a lot of people talk about moving out to LA and then they never do it. And I did it and just couch surfed and then made some money, got a place, and like, I think that you just gotta make that jump. And it doesn't even have to be a big jump. It's just like every day you just got to make those decisions on doing what you feel like doing.
Yeah.
And not being afraid of like just understanding that you'll be able to figure it out later. As long as you wake up the next day, you can figure it out. Like, it's really nothing is that significant and life changing.
Yeah.
That, nothing's that detrimental to your future. You can fix all that stuff. Like, I mean, in some more than others, some big mistakes, some little mistakes, but some are really good decisions.
Yeah.
And you just can't be afraid to make decisions like that.
Man, that's well said. That's well said. More people out here really need to think like that. And, it's great having conversations with people that, I believe are very like educated in their craft and also educated in world life, because you make a lot of sense, and people that are watching this, I think, are going to get a really good insight on who you are as a person.
I appreciate that. I hope they do. I mean, I think, after my shows in the future, I want to be having these kind of conversations with people. Yeah. Instead of, how's it like working with this person, or do you want to smoke? No, it's like, well, let's just talk about life. I think I don't know, man. I think our society is getting closer to that, where we pay attention to life and happiness, and pay less attention to, like I said, tradition and the things that we're taught that we should be doing. And so I'm just here to encourage that. I'm just trying to help everybody get to that point where they're making decisions and living their own lives.
Hell yeah. Love it, bro. Thank you for sitting down with me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.